would not be the same. Few people laughed. Few people cried. Most people were silent. I remembered the line from the Hindu scripture, the Bhagavad Gita. Vishnu takes on his multi-armed form and says, "Now I am become death, the destroyer of worlds."
Hey guys, we're back, and this time we have a special video. We're not doing a Millennium Retrospective, because of course not, since next movie would be Final War still, but we're instead doing a Mecha Godzilla retrospective.
Oh,
as we go over,
because this is one particular subgenre of Godzilla movies that they get right. Always seem to have somebody who's writing good on them.
We're going to talk from everything, from Showa to the Monsterverse version.
Mm-hmm.
And let's start off with the Showa, the villainous one, the truly villainous one from top to bottom.
Yep, and the force from outer space.
Yep, and well, what did you think about this one in design? I know a lot of people love it.
I've seen so many movies over like the past couple of weeks that I'm having a bit of trouble like separating all of them in my head.
Hold on, let me get an image. Hold on.
Yeah, that'd definitely help.
There's the Showa one.
Ooh, yeah.
What I know a lot of people love this one, and I like it, but it's not my favorite.
Yeah, I can probably agree with that. It sort of looks like Godzilla wearing armor, let's be real.
It does, and I get why people like it. They feel like the Heisei is too goofy and smooth, and they like how it's rough and everything, and detailed, which I get, but when you compare to Kiryu and then and Monsterverse, this one is dopey.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's still great.
I mean, it's not uncommon for the Showa era as a whole, but yeah.
Yeah, but again, this is still a beast. It's at the standard of this weaponry that overpowers them, and yeah, the amount of weapons just alone, the foot, the fingers, the knees, his eyes, his mouth.
And it's just like the spinning hands.
I know, the spinning hand, the spinning head with the force field, the chest beam. There's like so many of its weaponry, you're just like, holy shit! This set the standard, and both of the movies were very, very well done.
Uh-huh.
With the second one having the best human story, and I think the first one having the best monster fight.
Mm-hmm. You get the best of both worlds from the two movies combined.
Exactly, and again, this one also the best reveal, I think, out of all of them.
Oh yes, seeing at first what appears to be a second Godzilla with a weird cry, and then Godzilla damages him, and then you start seeing the metal insides underneath.
Yep, you may call it a MechaGodzilla. Yep, I had to say it. I had to say it. So, but if you were to rank this and give this out of 1 to 10, just for effectiveness and just in general, does that have to be compared to the others? This is just in general. 1 to 10.
7.5.
I was thinking the same thing. Next, no, that's where is it? Hold on. That's Kiryu. We don't want Kiryu yet.
I'm shutting my eyes.
There we go. There's Heisei.
Ah.
That's my favorite. That's the one I grew up having a toy with and everything.
Oh man.
And this one, I think that the fact, the smoothness of it, well, makes sense because of the diamond coating.
Oh yeah, that is something that's very specific to this iteration of MechaGodzilla.
Yeah, he absorbed, just like the Super X2, he absorbs the heat ray and then sends it back.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not like they do it once and never again. No, they do it multiple times.
Yeah, to the point where the diamond just straight up melts off.
Well, yeah, but that's thanks to Rodan. Oh, speaking of which, I found out, turns out Radon is actually how you say it in Japan.
Ah.
So, yeah, they were actually being faithful, but not in the right way.
Yeah, it's just like,
but yeah,
didn't quite stick that English transliteration.
Now, I'll say this as well, though, much like so much the Heisei suffered from, not that much, it's a whole bunch of, let me put it this way, MechaGodzilla is a big gun, just shoots out a bunch of stuff, doesn't do much else.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, those gun effects are certainly a lot of fun, but yeah, it's definitely not necessarily on the offensive side as creative as the previous one was, though it's defensive.
It makes up for it though, it makes up for it in raw power.
Yeah, raw power and unique defensive capabilities.
Exactly, and having being the first one to actually kill practically Godzilla. Mm-hmm. You know, taking out his second brain.
Yeah.
And, of course, the Super MechaGodzilla portion was Garuda was a very nice touch, especially how, remember, it took, Rodan took out one of the eyes, but as soon as Garuda reattached, the eye turned back on.
Oh yeah, so it had a second form to contend with as well.
Yep, but, to be honest, it's just a pair of blasters. Kiryu would eventually show that look a bit more effective. I still would give him, both for nostalgia reasons and just for, again, its feats and everything, I'd give him a 9.
I think I don't necessarily have the same nostalgia bias.
Yeah.
I'd go 8 to 8.5.
That's fair. We don't have to agree on this one. Then we have Kiryu.
Oh yeah, the one I literally just saw. Holy crap.
Now this one is the most offensive of them.
Oh yeah, this one does not mess around.
It is maneuverable, and it has so many weapons. It's basically the best of both the prior two. It's like you take the prior two, and you fuse them together.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I think this, again, it's not my favorite, but I still would give it an 8.5.
I think I really ended up liking this one. I might have to give this one a 9.
That's perfectly fair, but I've seen MechaGodzilla 2 more often than I've seen against MechaGodzilla or Tokyo SOS. But yeah, Kiryu, I mean, all of his offensive weapons, how dangerous he was, and the fact that it is the 1954 Godzilla in there, was all greatness that made him very unique.
Yeah, it's just like no two executions of the concept are quite the same.
And Godzilla and the Monsterverse version.
Oh yeah, I remember this one loud and clear.
This has become a rival for my new favorite for as little of a time as we had.
Yeah, it definitely left one hell of an impression.
And the fact that it's technically both MechaGodzilla and Mecha King Ghidorah because of Kevin.
Oh yeah, that's definitely... Yeah, you're sort of taking the element of, you form its base from the bits of a...
It's also a bit of Kiryu in that, then.
Yeah.
In fact, you could say he's a mixture of all three.
Yeah, it's just like, alright then, let's sample some of the defensive, some of the offensive, let's throw in it has bits of dead kaiju, or not quite so dead kaiju as part of its makeup.
And the funny thing is, it has the least amount of armaments, but its raw power tops even the Heisei.
Yeah.
I mean, just look right there, the jet booster punch.
Oh yeah.
Those blows were devastating, and all of its weapons and everything. This thing was meant to take down quick and fast, not show off. Yeah,
it's just like, why get really complicated when you can just hit things really, really hard?
I'll be honest, I almost give it a 9.5.
I'm feeling that too. It's just damn, I just can't resist it in being rendered in that glorious HD.
And now that it coming out of the mountain and everything, and then almost winning, even when you had the two gods, the two monsters teaming up against it, it still was putting up a great fight. The only thing it took was, shorting out, and then Godzilla shooting the axe with his heat ray.
Mm-hmm.
Because otherwise, that axe was doing jack shit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and also again, it's Kevin!
It is Kevin indeed!
It's Kevin! How did Kevin become such a badass?
I guess when you let him go out on his own, he manages to man up a bit more. I don't know.
Who knows, but and now, to be fair though, where the other ones are the focus, and this one was just the final boss, it makes up for it.
Oh yeah, it definitely makes up for it.
And really, you have Godzilla, Rodan, King Ghidorah, and Mothra. You have to have Mecha G.
You really do. It's just part of the classic Godzilla flavor.
Yep, and for it to be, if this is possibly the last movie, it's probably not now, but if it was, what better monster to go out on? Oh
yeah.
And the implication of it, more than the other ones, about humanity creating it, because you have the whole, they're making an apex predator and basically getting, picking Godzilla off.
Mm-hmm.
It feels like this is basically the darker side version of the prior two versions.
Yeah, where previously they were just struggling against Godzilla and had more or less good intentions in creating it. Hey, Godzilla really is a danger, and what better way to defend against Godzilla than another Godzilla? Whereas in this case, it was sort of more of a domineering kind of feel, where it's just
we want humanity to be number one again.
Yeah, it's just where Godzilla isn't the typical neutral evil kind of alignment that he'd normally be.
No, he was mostly the hero. The humans just didn't like being in his shadow.
Mm-hmm. And it's just it just sort of reframes the creation of the thing in a much different light, where it's just no, you didn't need to do that. You just felt inadequate and felt like you needed to have the bigger toy.
Yeah, so, pretty much these versions of MechaGodzillas, we adore every single one of them.
Mm-hmm.
It's just so, again, Mecha G is just so awesome.
The concept alone is enough to get
especially since 3 out of the 4 were all man-made.
Uh-huh.
Only one was alien-made, and even then, they were initially alien-made and then human rebuilt.
Uh-huh.
So what does that say? It tells you that humanity is capable of building something that can catch up with these ancient beings or beasts.
Yeah, it's just that there are just a lot of implications depending on how it's framed. Sometimes it's a purely heroic thing, like what we saw in the Heisei era. Sometimes the moral implications are a little bit more gray area, like what
Kiryu.
we had in with Kiryu. And sometimes it's sort of an expression of humanity's darker insecurities, like what we saw in the Monsterverse, which is really fascinating. It's it's that rule of 3 again.
Yep. Well, because again, when you have but that only applies to the human-made one. Then you have, but even then with Showa, you have the darker side as well of when he's being rebuilt.
Mm-hmm.
You have humanity's darker side, behind that.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's what we gotta say about our favorite rival one of our favorite monsters. And tomorrow, speaking of monsters, tomorrow we'll be going over the final Godzilla Final Wars to wrap up the Millennium Saga and Era.
Ooh, Lord Almighty.
Yep. Basically, can they do what Destroy All Monsters did, but on a larger scale? I'll give you a spoiler. No. Well,
they tried, but they tried a bit too hard.
Oh, you saying you already saw it and we're recording this after the fact?
Maybe.
Okay, see you guys there.